Welcome back to Create Your Future, where we empower women to live a fulfilled life with joy. I'm Celia, and my goal is to put a spotlight on the topic of coaching women. And here with me is Sylvia Becker-Hill, my mentor, my soul sister, soul friend, my teacher, my hero in this topic on what we coaches need to know about coaching. If you haven't seen part 1 of our interview, please go back. I'm going to put it down below in the comments where you can find it and look it up. So Sylvia, for those of you who have just tuned in to part 2, just a short, quick intro. Who are you? Why are you so important?
Oh, thank you. You're talking to my ego. So I'm Sylvia Becker-Hill, originally from Germany. I started to be a coach in the late 90s. Some in the International Coach Federation community call me a matriarch of the coaching industry. I love coaching. I'm very passionate about it. I developed a ton of tools and models. I had my own coaching training school for 7 years. And in the over 22 years of being a top executive coach, I started working only with men because historically at the time in Germany, there were no budgets for women to be coached and there were only a few women in top leadership positions. But over time, I fall in love with coaching, especially female executives, female leaders. And I realized in that work, there is a big difference in coaching a man and coaching a woman, and not going here into an intersectional gender discussion about the whole continuum between the two. I make it a bit simple here, men and women, and I'm aware of the nuances. I just combined my own gender studies at the university in Düsseldorf, Heinrich Heine University of 3 years, matriarchal culture, change management, and neuroscience, and merged this all into a coaching philosophy focusing on the relationship of women and power, which Celia here has invited me to talk about here today. And because of that, I'm a passionate expert about that. And I have a track record of successfully supporting women to break not only the glass ceilings inside corporations, but even more importantly, the glass ceiling inside their own head, between their own ears. And this is why Sylvia has invited me here. And this is why I'm so stoked up and excited to be with you here, beloved viewer, because I want you to be successful and happy and be empowered to make your clients successful and happy. This is why I'm here.
Yes, this just had to come out. Thank you so much. So today we want to talk a little bit more about the history, and also would like to define what is the patriarchy. This word, in our first part, we talked about it, we shouted it out, this word, but we don't really, it's this heavy word, but it's beautiful.
So patriarchy is one of those words, when you say it out loud in the wrong circles, you first get this big pushback. Oh my gosh, a purple trousers wearing feminist. Oh, go away, patriarchy. Oh. So this is not what we are here about. So for me, being an academic, I love science. So for me, it's important to distinguish words without going immediately into an emotional reaction and drama about them. So beloved viewer, whatever you have ever thought or felt about the word patriarchy, please be with me here. And for me, the definition of the patriarchy is the name of a society, of a culture, which is deeply hierarchical and where everything, the word patriarchy comes from Latin pater, the father, where everything male, men are in the hierarchy, status-wise above women and anything female. Patriarchy. We have also another word, the matriarchy, from mater, the material, mater, but also mater, the mother. And the matriarchy is also a hierarchical society, but instead of everything male and the father being on top, in the matriarchy, it's the mother and everything female is of higher status. So even here, it's very important, because in certain circles, especially here in California, where I live now, a lot of people think, oh, the matriarchy is the paradise and the holy form of society, and we should go back to it and live happily ever after. No, 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 no. This is not what I'm and Sylvia here are about, because the matriarchy is still a hierarchical system. And Sylvia and I, and this is where coaching and our philosophy goes into politics. And do you interrupt me, Sylvia, if I'm speaking here wrongly, including you? I'm taking a stand for that every society which is deeply hierarchical and puts certain groups of people as gender or race or religion over the other is not sustainable. It's not sustainable and not the path where we all can co-create a world that works for everyone. And I believe that every decent human being wants a world that works for everyone. And for that dream, we together, men and women in partnership. I am a feminist, but feminist doesn't mean I kill men, I hate men, I don't want to have anything to do with them. For God's sake, no. I'm married. I love my husband. I love men, and I want us to be in partnership. And this is a historical, biographical side note. In my mid-20s, I visited an alternative community close to Berlin, and they had, with big letters, like not graffiti, but painted on a wall outside a building with huge letters, this long sentence. It said, there can't be peace on this planet as long there is war between men and women. Boom! I think I was 24, 25, but when I saw this sentence sprayed on a huge outside wall of a building, it shook me, it rocked my world. And that is where I come from. When I talk about the patriarchy and the matriarchy, I want you, beloved viewer, to understand the human history is an evolution of different cultural paradigms. And the patriarchy is the one we are still currently in. Yet when you watch the news, when you look into the world and analyze the trends, you can see the patriarchy, the systems and structures where men, I think I use this hand, where men were of, excuse me, higher hierarchical status than women, these systems have stopped working. They are not sustainable. And especially right now, we are recording this interview during the time of the global pandemic, where collaboration between nations, the World Health Organization, etc., is needed. And here, going a bit politics in the United States, we had a narcissist as a president, a classic patriarchal bully who stepped out of the global organization thinking egocentric that this would be of an advantage. This is patriarchal thinking. Patriarchal thinking is focused on the individual and the benefit of one person or a small group of a few, and this is not sustainable. So it's not about being kumbaya and everything is pink and Pollyanna. We have globally some problems to solve. Climate crisis, migration waves, drinking water scarcity, the growing gap between the rich, wealthy, and the poor, and the growing gap regarding the access to resources. All these global problems are growing like crazy, not forgetting electric cars, artificial intelligence, changing the way we work and live in the next 20 years fundamentally. To deal with all of that, to find solutions, we need diversity and inclusion over the whole bandwidth of intersectionality, gender, race, religion, nationalities, language, culture. We need a glorious, wonderful, colorful mix. And what we here are focusing on right now is that you, beloved viewer, you are a woman, you are a coach, you are empowering and coaching women leaders. And when I say women leaders, doesn't need to be necessarily executives in corporations. For me, every human being who steps out of victimhood lifestyle and takes responsibility and mature ownership about what's going on in their life and their career is a leader. So I use the word leader in a very broad kind of definition and understanding. And if you want to powerfully empower your clients and yourself, you need to understand what is currently going on historically and evolutionary wise. And you have to understand that the patriarchy, the fact that we since now for 7,000 years are living in a society where everything male was considered of higher status and power and value than anything woman and female, these 7,000 years are literally hardwired, please watch part 1 of our interview, are hardwired in our beloved brain and our subconscious mind. And ignoring that creates blind spots in your coaching and in your own life. And this is why Sylvia and I are here. We are blind spot busters.
Ooh, I like that word.
We want you to be inspired by the human history and evolution of paradigms and the brain, so that you can not only be the best coach you can be, but that you can also live the best life as a human being and woman you can live.
Beautiful, as always. Wow. And there we can hook up. You said it already several times about the powerful and the empowerment, the word power. That's a main, I think it's the main issue that women have, is the ambivalence towards this word, this massive word power. There is so much in it. I myself had my issues with it, to step into my power. And not too long ago, last year, I didn't step up, I was sleeping. But the moment you choose to go into your own power, the moment, and that's where then the solution might come, is when I align myself with my own power, my personal power. That's when we rise. That's when we can go above and beyond. But why do we have those issues? Why do we, especially women, because I notice in my personal and in my business life, in my professional life, men don't have this issue. Not all of them, but men, they like the word power. They like the symbolism power has.
So when we take on the fact that for 7,000 years, women were, by the systems and structures and laws and rituals and cultures of society, we were cut off from power. And we only saw the kings and the generals, the warriors and the presidents all being men. So there is, by training over 7,000 years, a relationship we women have subconsciously in the back of our brain, of our minds. We have a programmed relationship with power. And a bit depending what you have learned and experienced with your father and your mother and what you have heard in your family, you will have a set of belief around that word. And beloved viewer, when you are watching here this interview, this would be a good moment to maybe pause it, grab a piece of paper and a pen, and before I even share some examples from my clients about their beliefs, maybe you take a short break here and spontaneously make a brainstorm. What do you think about power? And you just start with fast writing. Power is power, power does make me bull. I want power because, I don't want power because, power is dangerous because, power is beautiful, what the heck, no, that's not true. So just 5 minutes, make a timer and write down your own beliefs you as a woman have about power. That's the first layer, the mental layer, the subconscious beliefs, which are defining your relationship with power. And then after you wrote down all your beliefs, and I go in a few seconds here into some examples, I also want you to read them out loud. And when you read them out loud, sense in your body what does hearing and saying these sentences does inside your body. Where does it show up? Does it make you choke? Does it dry out your mouth? Does it give you a squeezy sensation in your stomach where you sense suddenly a bit of anxiety and nervousness? Or, which I had for a lot of years and which got here re-triggered in 2016, living in the United States during the election of Trump, a deep disgust, like literally like bale coming up of like, oh, yeah, like power more. So our body, in the relationship we have to power lives in our body. And this is so crucial for you, beloved viewer, being a coach. How could you empower another woman to step into her power if you have not stepped in yours?
Mm-hmm.
If you have not cleaned, healed, sorted, consciously designed your own relationship to power and with power to be an empowered one. This is absurd, right? So stop our beautiful interview here for a moment. Do your pre-work. I take a sip of water, and then I will answer you from my clients' expertise in the last 22 years, what my clients have said. But I really beg you, because there is a difference just listening to me and experiencing for yourself and owning. This is a coaching process. What I'm giving you here is already a coaching process you can use, obviously, with your clients. They should write down a brainstorm, their beliefs about power. And they also could use their own body to own it, to sense it, to feel it, become honest. Ladies, we have to be honest about our relationship.
And we are
step into it. So, mini break, you do the exercise, and I take a sip of water.
Very good. And Sylvia, are you still there? We have a little technical glitch. Welcome back from your break. I hope you had a real insight on how you feel about power, what it does make with yourself, do to yourself, or what your body is reacting. Let's come back to Sylvia. Sylvia, what are the 5 main points on women and the word power? What are the main pain points they have?
Yes, so as a coach, I assume you all know about the power of paradigms. And just to make sure we are talking about the same thing, a paradigm is a list of beliefs, assumptions, and biases, and attitudes and habits, which together, I like to metaphorically call it, create a box in which you live and from which you also operate. There are paradigms, let's say, about how to eat food. The Italian paradigm is very different from the one in Switzerland, or the German one, or the French one, right? Or the paradigm of clothes, how to dress appropriately in the corporate world is different in Europe than here in the United States or in Russia or in Africa. So paradigms are these kind of big cultural boxes we are living in and operate out from. So when it comes to the paradigm of power, these are now from my, let's not only say as a coach, but because I've studied gender studies, and I was in my, I think I was 19, I was a member of the, at that time, first women's party being founded back in Germany. So my work with women, I'm 54, so I can't quickly calculate right now, goes way back, right? So having had gazillion amounts of conversations, first with girlfriends and later in my research as a gender study academic, These are what I'm giving you now, the 5 classic core beliefs I have heard over decades from women from all sorts of walks of life. So very different industries, very different cultural, educational backgrounds, mainly European / American. So I must admit, what I'm giving you now, I have no data about from Asia. I have not worked with, I had only one top executive client from the Philippines, and she confirmed, agreed with the paradigm I'm giving you now. I worked with her through exactly the process I'm going here through with you, but just as a disclaimer, there are some cultures where I don't have data and where maybe the relationship to power might be slightly different. I like to be correct about those things. Very German. So it's a paradigm. Germans are correct. What is going on here? So belief number 1, a lot of women have subconsciously or consciously in their brain. Power corrupts. I say it again. Power corrupts. Where do we get this belief from? Hello, duh. Watch the news. One scandal after the other. Automotive industry in Germany, sadly, the VW exhaust fume poisoning, changing the data. I can't talk about that in English, I'm sorry, but huge scandal of corrupt managers. Politics, United States, hello, duh, yeah. The books written in the next years about power corrupts are in the thousands. So there's a lot of evidence, and here we will not discuss the chicken or the egg, what comes first. We see evidence in the world that power corrupts. So that's belief number 1. Belief number 2, and has sadly also a lot of horrifying evidence, power makes sick. Since we women conquered with our shoulder pads and suits and stripes the corporate world and broke through the glass ceilings in the 80s, guess what's happening? Women are dying or suffering from diseases which previously, before the 80s, were considered manager diseases, we call them in Germany, executive problems or male health problems, for example, heart attacks. Since the 80s, premature death by heart attacks in women is on the rise. Here in the United States, every 28 seconds, a woman dies of a stress-caused heart attack. Power makes sick. Top careers, you work 60, 70 hours, you rush from meeting to meeting, have lunch break, you shovel down some fast food on your desk while you are in a Zoom meeting or between Zoom meetings, right? There's strong evidence in our perception that power makes sick. This was number 2. Number 3, some of you might laugh now, but as a woman who has a bit of vanity and a sense for fashion and wanting to look beautiful, the third one for me is a biggie, and for a lot of my clients secretly too, because a lot of women believe power makes old and ugly. Again, why? Here, especially in the United States, there are these before and after headshots of the presidents, how these men in power, how they age over 4-year or 8-year term. It's horrifying. Obama literally went gray in 4 years of being, or 8 years being in power. He completely went gray. Someone else might say, well, he was of the age where 8 years would... No. Just Google before and after headshots of presidents. It's really funny. Well, look into Germany and sadly the whole debates and compare it. The debates about men in power and their looks and women in power and their looks. Angela Merkel oh my gosh, the first few years, people were statistically, especially on social media, there were more comments and tweets and discussions about what she was wearing and her change of haircut and the color of her suit and the cut of her suits than there was about her policy making.
Okay.
So there is this belief, power makes old and ugly. Belief number 4, and that is something which goes deep into our heart and into values of love, of connection and relationships and respect. Sadly, there is a belief power means conflict, disconnection, and war. I say that again. The 4th strong belief in this negative power paradigm is the belief power means conflict, discord or dissonance or disconnection, and war. And again, look into the news, look into the world, but also look into your own life. When a woman makes a huge career jump and is suddenly in the top suite of a corporation, is on the C-suite, is a chief finance officer, chief human officer, chief whatever, and works more than her husband, brings more money home than their husband. I'm giving you now a really delicate topic, which a lot of people resist when I start talking about it, but Google it. It's a fact. There's research about it. Sadly, and that is the whole patriarchal pressure and topic on men, which would be another interesting interview when you work with men, but we are focusing here on women. There are men, because of their systemic placement inside the patriarchy, who stop being able to perform, patriarchal term, sexually when their wives or sexual female partners make more money than they do, which has to do with their identity as a breadwinner in a patriarchal society. Let's focus on women. When a woman knows that, and the interesting thing is nearly all my top executive women, they know it intuitively, and they are negotiating their salary. Why do you think so many brilliant women undervalue themselves? Because intuitively they know their marriage and their partnership and their sex life might go into trouble if they make more money. And I know this will push some of you listen here watching this interview your buttons. Just it's not that every woman thinks that every partnership has to struggle about that. My sex life became better when I started to make more money with my husband. So it's not that everyone experienced that, but it is out there, it is in society, and there is research and there are publications about that. So women know that. Then the whole notion of when I am in power, I have to work more and then I'm less at home. How can I be the good wife, the good mother, the good house care giver? How can I care for my ailing parents? So power means conflict, dissonance, discord, disconnection, and war. There's evidence very intimately in our private lives and when we look into the public. And the last one is a bit abstract. It might sound a bit like the second one, power kills. And this time I don't mean that like power makes sick was our second belief. Power kills is a summary of that when you step into your power in the meaning of in a power position, in a top leadership position, that you simply have no time for hobbies, no time for traveling, for adventure, for your girlfriends, for culture, for having fun, for going to the gym, your yoga studio, your photography. So power kills your joy in life, your work-life balance, your fun, your social circle. You turn yourself into something or someone you don't want to be. Wow. Let me repeat the 5 core beliefs around power. Most women, and maybe not you, all these 5, maybe you have 10 other ones, but the common core 5 beliefs which create this negative power paradigm in most women's brains are: power corrupts, Power makes sick. Power makes old and ugly. Power means conflict, dissonance, and war. And power kills. Who wants power?
Oh, thank you.
Power is that?
Nope.
No public office, no career, no executive position, no leadership. Oh, no, I don't want to be a leader. I don't want to speak up. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to make more money. Power. And this is now the overarching belief based in the patriarchy and our 7,000 years of women being suppressed, abused, witch hunts, 400 years. For a woman, power is dangerous. Period. The result of these four beliefs making this paradigm, power is dangerous. And what does our beloved ego in our subconscious mind do with us and to us when we are in danger? It will make sure we stay safe by retreating, by sabotaging our attempts to step into our leadership and power. Our beloved ego, committed to our survival and safety, will make sure we run and hide as fast as we can from any opportunity to step into our power and embrace it.
No wonder we are not seen.
Yeah, and if Sylvia and I would stop now our interview, we all would go depressed and lay on the floor and cry. So we will not stop here. But I need you, beloved viewer, to take again a moment and let this sink in. Let it sink in. We all, even if consciously, maybe you are a younger generation than I am, and your whole life you had maybe an emancipated mother, and you grew up with this whole drive of being a leader and being emancipated and liberated and making your own money and living the life you want. Maybe consciously you love power. Maybe you are highly ambitious. Maybe you seek power and you perceive all your female clients. I mean, a woman who invests money into coaching for themselves, she is an ambitious woman. So maybe you think, Sylvia, this is all outdated. This is from our grandmother's time. This is not relevant for us nowadays. No, sorry. There's a huge difference what we live consciously. Consciously, if you ask a woman nowadays, she will say, sure, power to the women. I want power. But the subconscious mind, the evolution of our brains and the cultural programming has not caught up yet to the whole new world we live in after Me Too and all the waves of liberation, of raising awareness, of emancipation. Yes, the last 10 years were huge for women globally to break glass ceilings. Yet our subconscious mind has not yet caught up. This is why your clients need you. This is why your clients need you. And they need that you do your own cleanup, integration, and healing first, which we will talk about in our third interview.
Yes.
So, Sylvia, shall we do the switch of paradigm now or in the next one? How are we time-wise? Can we go into it briefly now or
briefly, not? But just briefly, and then we take it into the next one.
Good. So to not leave you depressed, crying on the floor or running away from power. I mean, you are coaches. I could stop now and just trust you to use your own coaching tools and models, because you all, even if you don't label it paradigm shift, it's basic coaching, what we are doing here together, switching a negative relationship with power, which makes us hide and shy away and run away from it, into a positive, connotated, productive, effective relationship, so that we love to embrace power and step into it. And you could, if you want, to stop now, and yet I want to inspire you by hearing the 5 paradigms shaping beliefs I developed together with my clients and in myself. And again, these are just examples. You personally can define the paradigm differently. Your clients high likely will define it differently. I can give in the third interview, I will give a bit of an example from some of my clients, how these different individual, every woman has her own unique paradigm and set of beliefs about power. So here I'm generalizing, here I'm talking about the big one. So together with my clients and in myself, the new 5 juicy, sexy beliefs to create a more attractive, power embracing paradigm are: power strengthens, power heals, power makes vibrant, or better, power brings to life, power connects. To be powerful means to be creative. Oh, I love this so much. To be powerful means to be creative. And I don't say this and love it so much because I am a painting artist. You see one of my paintings, my work in progress behind me, and slightly another one there. I say that from a much bigger perspective. I believe that when we are creative, we are connected with our divine spark, with the source where we come from. And I don't care what you, well, I don't care, that sounds so harsh. It doesn't matter what your religious background is, if Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu. I believe we all, even atheists, have a philosophy of where we come from, and that there is some kind of higher power. And when you look into nature and into the world, what is the divine spark? It is to bring things to life, flowers, trees, worlds, to bring us to life and to create. From a good meal for the family, over a PowerPoint presentation to the board, or starting your own business, these are creations. So for me, to be a powerful woman means to be a creative woman, and to create my life, myself, and the world.
Funny. I just realized that my company's name is Create Your Future.
Hello.
Hello. I never put the dots together till now.
You are infusing your members, your clients, and everyone you work with power, with empowerment.
Yes, yes.
And there is a debate, as a little side note here, I had once with a female executive in New Zealand who organized a women's leadership conference, and we Zoomed and Skyped if I were able to come as a speaker. Didn't turn out. But she said that they don't like the word empowerment. They have the philosophy that no one else can give someone else the power, or if they would use it in that connotation, they would be still stuck in the old power over someone else paradigm by giving them the power. So I love that distinction. And when I talk about empowerment, especially when we coaches in our marketing say or give the promise, hey, receive empowerment, or experience empowerment, or I empower women, it's a bit of an abbreviation of what we really do. I, as a coach, can't empower you. You can only empower yourself. But through the coaching, through what Sylvia and I are here discussing, and information and question and raising your awareness, we are creating the space and the opportunity where you can make the choice to step into your power. And that is what I mean when I say we are providing here, and you with your beautiful company, Sylvia, Create Your Future. You are providing the space and the input and the tools where women can make this choice to step into their power so that they do create their future, who they are, how their life looks like, what work they are embracing, and how they create the world they choose to live in. So we are not empowering you. Now, one of my memes, our information doesn't provide your transformation, your engagement does. And that is the focus of our third interview part.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, Sylvia, I love you. I love the work you do here, and I love your community. This is just so yummy, juicy what we're doing here. So see you in part 3.
Bye.